Hello, I'm Sarah Mahmoud. I am a PhD student at the University of Hofte. We'll talk about technology as an enabler for social sustainability and inclusion. When we talk about technology, technology is everywhere, in wearable devices, in smart devices, in online shopping. And now when we are talking about the pandemic, everything is turning online. And if some group or someone is excluded from using the technology, then they are excluded from the community. If we define the social sustainability and inclusion as bringing the people together into the community, regardless of their gender, age, their ethnicity, their physical disabilities, then we need to make sure that they are able to use the technology and able to be part of the community. If I ask you to imagine a developer, you would probably think of a smart guy, probably wearing glasses, sitting in a computer. It is less likely to think of someone like me. When we talk about representatives in the tech field, we usually point out that there are low percentage of women in the field, and we say that the field is dominated by certain ethnicity. But what is the point? What is the problem? What is the deal if the field is dominated by a certain group, or if the field is just developed by men? Is it just about increasing the number of women in the field? Is it just about gender equality? Well, let's take an example. Seatbelt, when seatbelt was developed back in time, it was developed by a group of men for their needs. They are less likely thinking of the consequences for a pregnant woman. Studies showed that the seatbelt affects the injuries affecting a pregnant woman by the pressure of the seatbelt is more dangerous than the accident itself. And studies also showed that 20% of women stop wearing the seatbelt by the progress of their pregnancy. To generalize this problem of what is the effect of excluding some ethnicity or gender from the development, who is affected by this exclusion? First, of course, the user. The user may face difficulty in using this technology that were not developed for them. If you are a left-handed person, then you know how the world is developed for right-handed people. As a result, if the users stop using these technologies, the business is affected. Research shows that voice assistant devices have difficulties with recognizing voices of people from some ethnicity because of their accent. And if these people stop using this technology, then the business is affected. The business loses a sector of the users. This can even affect the society. Image recognition, for example, is widely used in security, such as in the airport, the banks. And research has showed that image recognition faces difficulties with women, particularly women with dark skin color. Research is also affected. For example, in self-driving cars, the field is focusing on roads like the roads of Hofte and excluding scenarios from the road like in New Delhi. So excluding some groups and ethnicity from being in the field as developers brings these challenges. And by including a diverse team of research and developers, we may reduce the challenges. What else can we benefit from this? We can bring different perspectives to the field. For example, dishwasher was invented by a woman in a time where washing dishes was only a task for women. For example, a difficult task like cutting with 2 men pit saw, a woman invented an easy-to-use circular saw. So bringing diverse teams, so this was the contribution of women in the field by bringing new perspective. And I would, for a deeper example, I would like to share with you my personal story. When I was a fresh graduate, I worked in a project of Cube Satellite, which is an academic project for building small-size satellites that have the same components of a real satellite. That includes the processor, cameras, energy system, gyroscope, and so. This was considered a project for wealthy institutes. These components cost more than $65,000, which was way beyond our budget. We had two choices, either to withdraw the project or to find an alternative way. And of course, we decided to rethink the process. When we looked at the components, we found that most of these components are already included in smartphones. So we decided to use a smartphone and rebuild the other components from scratch by ourselves. We succeeded in developing a Cube satellite with a budget that is less than $3,000. With this mentality of rethinking the process, I moved to Sweden and I worked in the field of artificial intelligence. In machine learning, the neural network model requires tons of data in order to train the network. For example, the famous example of the AlphaGo game. The AlphaGo model was trained with tons of data in order to be able to play the game Go. And this was trained for 40 days in Google servers. The consumption of this training was equivalent to the energy consumption of 24 American houses for a year. That's a huge consumption. I work in the field of self-driving cars, and training self-driving cars obviously consumes more energy and data than the AlphaGo. And collecting data in the regular way, which is having professional drivers who go in the road and collect the data by driving in 1,000 miles, that's very costly and inefficient. Alternatively, we use reinforcement learning method. In this method, the agent takes an action and then observes the change in the environment and the reward of positive or negative reward, whether that's the action is good or bad. And then the agent learns from this interaction. In self-driving car, implementing this in the real world is dangerous. We cannot just let a car work in the environment and trains by experiencing different experiences. Alternatively, we use simulations. We can safely put the car in the simulation and it experiences different trials and errors until it learns. The question is then, what road to create and how many roads to create, which scenarios to include. Creating this manually by a developer is costly if we want to develop each road manually from scratch. Alternatively, we use automatic generation, which generates different roads with different mechanisms in order to train the self-driving car. In conclusion, the point that I want to make is that we need diverse mindsets in the field in order to bring new innovation. In order to bring the people's need in technology, we need different perspectives. And it is very dangerous and harmful for the field to be monopolized by certain groups. And the first key to bring diversity and inclusion in technology is accepting differences. I would like to close this talk by a quote by a Western author, Stephen Covey, who realized that strength lies in differences, not in similarities. And thank you.
So we all know that in like every way, diversity is better, especially when we're like developing products and processes and stuff. But how should we like really get the companies to get that, to start working with it?
As I mentioned, the first key is acceptance. When a person who is different than the group is feeling that I'm excluded, I don't belong to this, I don't feel confident to join this group. But when we feel that, okay, this is accepted, my ideas are accepted, my personal is accepted, then I have more courage to join the group, and then I have more courage to bring my contributions. Here, the point that I want to make, it's not only about including a person, but also including the mindset, because we want to bring different perspectives. And I would like to make an example of using this mic. It is not designed for me, obviously, so I find difficulty in wearing it. But if there were some people in the group who designed this device and who were like me, then they would point it out that, oh, this doesn't work for people like us. We may have a different design. So we have our contribution. And sometimes it is not obvious or it is not direct that the person would say, how can I bring my contribution? But it is somehow inside us that we will point it out that, okay, this doesn't work, or we can contribute in this way. So I would encourage people, even if they feel that they don't belong in the field, this is a sign that they can contribute more.
It's a good conclusion. Good. Perfect. And so everyone needs to feel included to be able to really contribute. I also, the microphone is is a really good example. If you also wear like a dress or something,
Just
you have,
like me.
yeah, and I have a dress. You have nowhere to
exactly
to put it.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming here and to talking to us about this. And if you want to hear more about Sarah and ask her some questions afterwards, you can reach her and her contact information at the University of Skövde's website. So thank you so much
Thank
again.
you so much.
And have a nice day.